Hi, how you doing? I'm Papa J, and welcome to Papa J's shop. Once again, we're not in the shop. We're out in a field job, or a job in the field, or a job afield. Uh, what we ran into here, and let's see if I can get that set so that you can see better. This is if you watch the hardware video, you've already seen this kitchen. This is a big stack kitchen. Very elaborate, very cool. This is one of my more favorites, her designs. However, and I didn't design this one, but when it was designed, the double stack here at the reefer space, which should always be a minimum of 72 to 73 inches open, is only 70 and 3/4. So we have to fix that. And the way we're going to do that, we're going to take that bottom cabinet back out of there, replace it with a panel and a dead front. And I'm going to take you with me while I get that accomplished. There won't be a lot of discussion on this one. It'll be more a lot of watching. I'm going to try and get the camera set up so that you can see pretty good, or really good, or as best I can. I'm not a cameraman. So let's see how that works. That should give you a pretty good view. I'm going to grab a couple tools, and we're going to start taking this cabinet out of here. We've got a decorative panel up in here that I'd like to keep if possible, and a little piece of trim that, quite honestly, I don't care about, and a cabinet that we're going to do our best to preserve. But the big one is I don't have another one of these skins, and that's very common to be short something on a job. So if you can reuse a piece, that's far better than owing somebody a piece. And I think we're going to have good luck here. We're basically just going to pop this down and away. Look at that. And that saves having to cut a panel later also. Now beyond that panel, really the only other thing I need to take out of here is the cabinet. Now it has a block of spacer wood that you can't see. You'll be able to see it when I get it out. There's a little block of spacer wood back in there. That's going to cause a little bit of grief, but not too bad. The more important thing is to try not to scarf up these panels as I take this cabinet out. So we've got 2 screws on each side on the sides. And in this case, I have 1 screw in the back. And just to be safe, I always try to look above and below and see if there's any surprises. Now, some of the guys have run screws down through into the back corners. Not recommended, but that doesn't stop them. So in this case, it's a perfect install as far as I'm concerned. The guy did everything right. What he did, and correctly, he put a spacer in here to space this cabinet away from this cabinet and create an even gap, exactly like you should have done. I build these in 2 pieces in case the cabinet needs to come out, but I'm the one who has to take them out, so I'm probably the only one doing that. Now, because for the moment, I'm going to give you, or I'm going to turn the camera off and get set up with some pieces, and we're going to move the camera out to the garage where we're going to cut the replacement piece that's going to go across here. We are back. I know, for you it was instant, but for me it's been a while. So I went out and was going to get all set up out in the garage so you could watch all the process of making this piece. And there were people in the garage, there were people in the yard, there were people everywhere. So I ended up having to go all the way out to the street, set up the shop out there. So much noise, I finally just gave up and decided we would just make the piece, and I'm sure you'll get to make pieces with me again. So I apologize, but I have the piece there. I also made these 2 little pieces of scrap, or cut them. Whoa. And what we're going to do, and I'm going to figure out how to make it so you can see at least a little better on this one. Let's see, we're going to come in at about that angle. So what I have is I'm going to be putting a piece of a panel across here that you'll see momentarily. And when we took the cabinet out, if you remember, we had the screws in the sides, and we pulled those screws out and the cabinet came down. Well, we don't have a cabinet now. We have a blank flat panel. And what I need to do is create something that will hold that. So in this case, we're just going to tack on some whitewood pieces. It's real easy to use the wrong nails. I didn't. These are 1¼ inch nails with 2 3/4 inch thickness. So that's 1.5 inches. It leaves me 1/4 inch, so I don't have to worry about blowout. But you need to know that before you put the first nail in. Otherwise, you'll end up with a real mess. You have to either try to fix or you have to buy parts and replace. Same thing on the other side. This is where a cameraman would be helpful. So on the other side, we've got a little less reveal available, but still plenty. And we're going to run that up. Now I want to split that about 50-50. There we go. Same thing, 1.5 inches of materials, 1¼ inch pins. This is nice and rigid. Our panel's not going anywhere. So we've got this nice panel we're going to use, and all I'm going to do is take this marker, make a shadow around the outside perimeter. And the only reason I'm doing both sides is I haven't looked at it to know which side I'm going to use yet. There's always a better side and a better choice. Now in this case, for finish-wise, this is the better side. So it really doesn't matter. I guess what I'll do, I'll put the rough edge against the top where it's out of sight. We'll still go ahead and run a bead down it just to make it, if nothing else, it helps me make sure I don't have any little ragged edges that are going to hold this away. All right, let me grab that other piece. Got everything reset with the camera, so now you can actually see what I'm doing over my head here. Hopefully I can reach. Got the piece rebuilt, the right dimensions this time. I'm not sure how he ever got that together before. So we'll set this piece right up in there, and we're going to tack him in place. And we don't need 100 screws. We need, 4 should do it, because it is going to be sandwiched in place by the other part. So we've got that piece up. Now we've got our finished panel that has to go up in there. And I keep changing my mind on what side I want to have where. But I think it's going to fit just like this. And we're going to do a trial fit here and hope that everything is the right length. And we need to take about 1/16 of an inch more off of this to get it to squeeze in there. So we will go up in here in the back and we'll make a mark on it, and we can go back out to the saw. Okay. In your world, it'll be instant. In mine, it'll be about 10 minutes. So we'll see you in a few. And now we've got a panel in there replacing the original cabinet. So the next step, so we don't want this thing to look like a plain door or a plain panel when it had a cabinet door there. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this decorative panel as if it was another cabinet. And I'm going to close the doors, center that panel on those doors, and we've got just about 1/4 inch space up there. And just so happens, I have 1/4 inch thick pencil, and somewhere in one of these pockets, there we go, a second pencil. So we will use those as spacers to hold that evenly across that piece of trim and hold it directly below the door. And we'll pop a pin or two. or even 4. Or 6. So now, once we take our pencil spacers out, we have an evenly spaced door that looks as if it's a cabinet. And then all we have left to do now is we're going to put a piece underneath here to resemble the bottom of the cabinet. And it's that same panel that we took off a few minutes ago. Once I have that up in there, it'll look like a cabinet on all sides. Now we're going to recess that up in just a little bit to give a little air space for the refrigerator to breathe. So I'll get that set up and I'll be right back once again. So the next step, let's see if I can bring you in. You can see what's going on in here. So what I did, we already had the drop pieces coming down here. It's a little awkward up inside this little tiny hole. So we had these pieces coming down that we're holding this outer panel on, and I just took and bridged across there. Now we've created our front support piece. So we'll turn you back around so you can see where the back as it goes together. All I'm going to do is measure from the bottom of the cabinet to the bottom of that brace I just put up is 9 inches. So I'll come back here. We'll measure from the bottom of the cabinet down 9 inches. And again, here, 9 inches. Okay, and we're back. Trimmed off our piece. Hold it up to that mark. Hold it up to that mark. Now the reason for the extra nails on this side is because it's going into the soft drywall. Over here we're nailing right into a wood panel. It's actually a plywood panel, very strong. Excuse me, very strong. On this side I was just tacking it into the drywall. So I wanted a couple extra pins to make it a little bit stronger. Now last but not least, all we got to do is put this panel up into place. Oh, that's why it's not going. There we go. Nice. And we'll throw just a few corners. Okay. Now I'm going to have to reload some pins, but I will get them and I'll throw a couple more pins in there. And we'll come back and we'll do kind of a final walk around after I get the mess that we have created here. And I blame you totally. We've got crap piled everywhere, trash to take out, and we'll get all that cleaned up. And we'll be back for a quick summary and close it out. Well, for our summary, we'll do a quick, here it is. Okay, so there's our kitchen cabinets, complete with hardware. We've got our faux panel from the second video, assuming you watched them both. And then our oven and bar area. This one's hard to see because of the bright sun coming through that window, but it's there. And for those of you who caught earlier that I missed that handle, I just wanted to point out that I noticed that I missed it and we got it in there now. So anyway, that's it for this one. I'm gonna pack up the last little bit of junk here and camera gear and get out. So for this one, I'm Papa J. You have a great day.